Let's see. Yep. And now my microphone is working. Well, testing. Yep. Microphone's working now. Wasn't working before. Gotta love it, right? But I knew kind of like when the season started. I mean, one thing I hated about it when it started, I mean, I loved it, obviously, but it's just like the time goes by so fast and you just know it before the season's over with. I mean, before you know it, the season's over with. I mean, you know. But so we got the team and player grades, all right, for the Philadelphia debacle, shall we say? And let me go over it, and then the overall team grades. I'm going to go over them as well too. So we had some Andrew Thomas had a good game. Okay, according to PFF. Okay, Andrew Thomas graded out at an 80.1. All right. Marcus Johnson was only in there for 7 snaps. Now, it's hard to believe, man. We only had 52 freaking snaps the whole game. 52 offensive snaps. Absolutely ungodly pathetic. 52 snaps. Wow. Holy cow. Well, but see, that's also what happens when you can't stop a team from running the ball. You know, they just turn around, hand the ball off, and they get 5-6 yards every time they run the ball, and they just keep getting first downs, and they just walk themselves down the field. You know, that's one thing with the running game, the clock keeps running, and said you can't stop the other team. You know, you're screwed. Marcus Johnson was in there for 7 snaps. He was 77.4 his overall grade. I'd be interested to see what they do with him. Okay. Maybe bring him back if they do. I mean, maybe try to put him on a practice squad or whatever. It'd be interesting to see. Saquon Barkley, he was 74.3. Mark Lewinsky, 72.8. Matt Breida, he was in it for 21 snaps, 71.3. Ben Bredesen had another good game at left guard, 69.9. Now, once again, he split time. Ben Bredesen had 29 snaps. Nick Gates had 23. Now, once again, Bredesen does seem to be grading out better than Gates at left guard. Okay. It'd be interesting to see what the Giants wind up doing with Feliciano, letting him go because he's not signed. All right. And then maybe trying to slide Gates into center, use Gates as just some quality depth. If somebody were to get hurt, hopefully maybe draft a center, a true center, all right? Because there's a couple of centers, obviously, I mean, we'll be picking probably one in the first round, but, you can grab a decent center. And I'm going to be going over this in future videos, draft guys and free agents out there as well, too, all right? But it'd be interesting to see what the Giants want to try to do going forward, especially in the interior line position. Now, I mean, Glowinski, we have him for another year. He's signed for 3. We might keep him for 3. Who knows? He was just dependable. Okay, he had a couple, so games, but he was in there. Didn't get hurt. He was in there every game, right? And it said this week he graded at a 72.8. His run blocking was a 72.1, pass blocking 66.4. Had a very solid game. Okay, so we know we have him now. It'd be interesting to see what the Giants want to try to do with the interior. I mean, they got McKeithen and Azudu, obviously, hopefully coming back off of injuries. They can maybe try to put them in there. I mean, we should be, we got some depth there, certainly, the guard position. Okay. I said, it'd be interesting to see what the Giants want to try to do going forward with the center. But you do see, okay, without question, I said the one nice thing about getting your ass handed to you, okay, by the Eagles, okay, is you see where your deficiencies are at. You see where the Eagles are at. And you see where you're at, okay? And you see the discrepancy, right? It was the defensive, it was the lines, the 2 lines, right? The dominance of the Eagles line, defensive line, right? and the dominance of the Eagles' offensive line and the Giants' inability to you can't stop the run. I mean, you just see how a dominant lines, defensive and offensive, can just take over a game. And the Eagles ran for, I mean, basically the 2 games the Eagles starters played against the Giants starters. There was 2 games, right? Week 14 and the playoff game. The Eagles ran for over 500 yards against the Giants in 2 games. 500, almost 520 yards in 2 games. The Eagles averaged, I mean, somehow the Giants' backup second and third stringers were able to keep the Eagles. I have no idea how that happened. But when the Giants' first string was in there, they gave up on an average almost 260 yards rushing a game to the Eagles. I mean, you give up 160, and that's pretty bad. Okay. You give 260 yards rushing. That is just ungodly. But I mean, I don't know how you plan on beating anybody. But as I said, it goes to show you, okay, that, when we're going up against the elite, right? That's what the Eagles are, shows you where your deficiencies are at, right? Also, it goes to show you, the cornerback play, right? How the Eagles, right? The Slay and Bradbury, our 2 wide receivers pretty much going. Reggie James in the slot, okay, had a good game, 7 receptions. But our 2 wide receivers, there's no way you're beating anybody. No way. Gave up 263 yards, I think I said, to the Eagles rushing. And our wide receivers, 2 wide receivers, had 2 catches between them for 7 yards. Between Hodgins and Slayton, 2 catches, 7 yards. Right? So I said, just goes the cornerback play, our wide receiver, how we don't have anybody out there that can scare them. Nobody. Right? We got some nice receivers, but, you need somebody to go out there and stretch the field, somebody that can scare them. The Giants just do not have that. Right? Let's see. I said Breida was 71.3. Ben Bredesen, as I said, he was 69.9. Richie James had a good game, 68.6. He led the team with receptions with 7. Gary Brightwell was in there for just 3 snaps, 68.3. Lawrence Cager, 15 snaps, 63.9. Nick Vannett was in there for 1 snap, graded out of 60. Kenny Golladay was in there for 2 snaps, the final 2 snaps of his Giants career. I'm sure he's probably more than happy. I'm sure both sides are. I'm sure he's happy just to move on. And, the Giants will be happy to move on from him too. But he had 2 snaps, graded out of 58.2. Final 2 snaps of his Giants career. Evan Neal was in there for every snap. He graded out of 54.8. Daniel Bellinger, 43 snaps, graded at 53.2. Nick Gates, he's a little struggle. He was in there for 23 snaps. He was in there 50, graded out of 51. Isaiah Hodgins was in there for 45 snaps, graded out of 50.6. Darius Slayton was in there for 50 snaps, graded out of 50.3. John Feliciano, our center, graded out of 49. As I said, it'd be interesting to see what they want to do with him going forward. Are they going to, re-sign him? I mean, I'm sure you would get him on the cheap, but or the Giants want to try to get somebody young in there who's maybe a natural center, because Gates is not a natural center. Feliciano's not a natural center. Feliciano, did a very admirable job this year, without a doubt. Okay, he had a little injury problem here and there, but he did a very nice job, but he's not a natural center. Okay. And also I'm saying if the Giants want to get younger, right, maybe draft somebody who is a true center. Okay. And then Daniel Jones, unfortunately, was one of the rare times this year where Daniel Jones graded out the worst. Usually it's like Andrew Thomas is number 1 and Daniel Jones is number 2, or Daniel Jones was number 1 in the Viking game. Well, unfortunately, in this playoff game, Daniel Jones graded out the worst. He graded out a 46.7. So But I mean, it's, when he's under duress the whole time, when your wide receivers can't get open, some guys dropping passes and all and everything, that you wind up getting bad grades. And Daniel Jones had, it is what it is, But in the press conference today, it sounded like Shane, because Shane and Dable were talking, sounded like they wanted him back. So it didn't sound like they were that high, possibly, on getting Saquon back. They said they'd love to have him back, but the numbers have to work out. So now in the bye week, they were doing a little talking, trying to maybe work something out. But apparently, what I'm just hearing, they weren't really close on anything. Saquon said he's not looking to reset the market as far as he's not looking to get 16 million or whatever it is, But I mean, I'm sure he wants his fair share. So it'd be interesting to see what the Giants wind up doing. The money's got to work out. I mean, I said the Giants, you want to get maybe hopefully Julian Love back, right? I mean, with Nick Gates, maybe try to get him back. So hopefully maybe Sterling Shepard. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. Xavier McKinney and Andrew Thomas are going to want to, hopefully, they have to try to, work their contracts, extend their contracts when their time's up. I said we got to get Daniel Jones in here. We have a bunch of other guys. Fabian Moreau, he's a free agent as well too. So we got some guy. I mean, I would love to get him back here. Fabian, right? So we got a lot of guys, that we have to sign. We're going to have some money, but a lot of that's going to get burnt up. But I mean, we're probably going to have 11 draft picks too. So between our draft picks and just trying to re-sign our own guys, a lot of that money is going to get burned up. Now, we might want to try to maybe extend Leonard Williams' contract, add another couple of years on to him. We have Sexy Dexy and Leonard Williams, the 1-2 punch in there. I mean, if we can actually get all four guys on the field and healthy, would be a miracle. I mean, if we could have Azeez, Kayvon, Sexy Dexy, and Leonard Williams. But the thing is, you gotta have, guys behind them who can shed blocks, plug holes, make tackles. I mean, Jalen Smith did very, very well. Okay, but let's see here. What did he do? He graded 61.3. Okay. I mean, he had 14 tackles, Jason Pinnock did very, very good. He was in there. Was just in there for 7 snaps. Now we're going to defensive grades now. Jason Pinnock was a 68. Xavier McKinney played the whole 70 snaps. He graded 65.6. Let me see. Kayvon had a very good game. He 65.3. Fabian Moreau was in there for 61 snaps, 65.1. I said it'd be really nice to get him back. Said Jalen Smith, he's going to have to, have some, do we want to bring Davis back, right? The Jared Davis. I mean, he did well. He had a 54. His tackling wasn't very good, apparently, according to PFF. He graded out a 29.8. But I mean, some of those guys we're going to, Micah McFadden's back. I mean, he's a draft pick, so he's back. Darian Beavers, okay, before he got injured in the preseason, right? He was making a name for himself, so he'll be back. So we got McFadden and we got Beavers. Who else we're going to bring back? I mean, we really could use a stud in the middle linebacker position without question. A stud. Yeah. It's a Jalen Smith. He was in there for 63 snaps, 61.3. Tony Jefferson was in there for 7 snaps. He graded out a 60.1. Sexy Dexy, 59.2. This is one of the worst games Sexy Dexy's had, but I mean, the Eagles' offensive line is really, really good. All right. Jared Davis was in there for 63 snaps, 54.1. Leonard Williams was in there for 67 snaps, 54.1. Darnay Holmes, 32 snaps, graded at 53.6. Ryder Anderson, 26 snaps, 49.7. Adoree Jackson, he had 47.1, 64 snaps. Nick McLeod was in there for 30 snaps, graded out of 46. We got a lot of guys with bad grades there, according to PFF anyway. Oshane Ximines, he's a free agent. He might be gone. I don't know if we're going to try to re-sign him. I have to wait and see. He was in there for just 5 snaps, 41.8. He didn't have much of a season for the Giants. Jihad Ward, Hottie, 38.3. Julian Love, he had a rough game, graded out of 32.3. His run defense was bad. Run defense, he graded out of 29.4. His tackling was a 28.1. Just a tough game for the Giants. Azeez Ojulari, he was only in there for 14 snaps. His whole season, I think, well, Azeez Ojulari, the whole season, we played 19 games. He played a grand total of 252 snaps in 19 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He played 9 games. But, I mean, against the Eagles, he had 14 snaps. Against the Vikings in the wild card game, he had 8 snaps. Week 17 against the Colts, he had 7 snaps. So, I mean, week 18, he didn't play. I mean, so basically from weeks 1 through 12, he played in 2 games. I mean, he's just all he kept doing was hurt. And he'd come back and he would get hurt. I mean, then you give him rest and he comes back and he gets kneed in the groin. I mean, he got kneed in the thigh or kicked in the thigh. Apparently, Kirk Cousins kicked him accidentally, of course. I hit him in the thigh. So he's on it for 14 snaps. Maybe next year he can actually play and stay healthy. Would be nice. Because, I mean, 2021, he had played in 781 snaps. And last year, Azeez Ojulari played in like 3 times the amount of snaps, 781. But, I mean, the thing that kind of just ticks you off and just kind of gets to you is he had 5.5 sacks. He hardly played. 5.5 sacks. Imagine if he was healthy, what he could do. I mean, when he was on the field, he was, some of the times, looked like he was being shot out of a cannon. Man, I hope he can get his injuries under control because, I mean, we can really, really use him because he played like a quarter of the snaps this year and he had 5.5 sacks. Imagine if he played half the sack. I mean, he would easily had double digits in sacks, easily. Let's see. Tolman Fox, he was only in it for 3 snaps, graded out of 29.6. And Justin Ellis, nose tackle, was in there for 8 snaps, graded at 27.5. Yeah. We had a lot of bad run defense and grades here. A lot of bad ones. Justin Ellis was a 29. Azeez Ojulari, his run defense was a 30. Julian Love was a 29. Jihad Ward's grade was a 38. A few guys were in the 40s. I mean, just a couple bad tackling grades. I mean, overall, I mean, it was not a good showing for the Giants. I mean, this is the second time. I mean, the Eagles just came in and just whooped up on us. But as I said, it gives you a blueprint. Okay, these are our deficiencies, right? This is what we need to, improve on. I mean, we don't have to go from really bad to, we don't have to become the best in the league at run defense, but we know we need to step it up. We know, our offensive and defensive line play it's got to be better. We know we need wide receivers. I mean, hopefully we're going to resign. Hopefully we're going to bring back Sterling Shepard. We'll be on the cheap, right? Wan'Dale Robinson, what I keep reading is he'll be back ready for hopefully week 1. So whether he's going to be in the preseason or not, who knows? But, you can definitely see that he was starting to get, with him and Daniel Jones, a little connection kind of going on. It seemed like as time went on, as the season wore on, they were getting more and more comfortable with one another. Well, he'll be back again, obviously, because, it was only his first year. So we got him for at least another 3 years. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But so we'll get him back. I don't know if we're going to re-sign Darius Slayton or not. We'll have to wind up waiting and see because, once again, he's a free agent as well, too. But I said, Bellinger, might we try to get another tight end in the draft, right? But we need a wide receiver. I mean, just have a hard time. Even if we bring Saquon back, we get Sterling Shepard back, Wan'Dale Robinson back. I'd really have a hard time believing, the offense that we have and with the players we have, you need at least one guy, right? One guy. I mean, Hodgins hopefully will be, But I mean, it's all, things all relative. If you get that one guy that can just kind of open stuff up a little bit, makes things easier on everybody else. So the Giants, now whether I said that's a free agent like Hopkins, they got Higgins. I mean, Diggs was pissed off after their playoff loss. So so do the Giants go out and try to get somebody? I mean, of course, there's always Odell Beckham Jr. I don't know if anything's going to come from him, but the Giants, they need somebody. At least one person. I mean, obviously, the more the merrier, right? All right, then we got the team grades here. All right, now the overall team grades. All right, the Eagles are number 1. They're 93.5. The Giants' overall team grade, according to Pro Football Focus, they're number 29, 68.6. Offensive grade. Kansas City Chiefs are number 1. The Giants are number 22. They're 69.8. 69.8. The Giants were 10-8-1. They gave up 30 more points than they scored. Wow. They gave up 433 points. Passing grade. Let's see here. Bengals are number 1. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough to beat Burrow and Higgins and Chase and company. All right, let's see here. Passing grade. Let's see. The Giants are number 18. 65.7. Pass blocking grade. According to Pro Football Focus, the Eagles are number 1. They have the best offensive line in football. Once again, another one of the reasons why they're able to run the ball. One of the reasons why Jalen Hurts looks so good. Jalen Hurts is very, very good. But when you have good wide receivers, when you have the best blocking, offensive line in football, it makes you look better too, right? Let's see the Eagles. It's the Eagles number 1. The Giants pass blocking. The Giants are number 24, 62. The Giants are at number 24. So, once again, the Giants have big time room for improvement on the offensive line. Receiving grade. 49ers are number 1, 87.5. The Giants are number 27 with their receiving grade of 68.4. Now the running. Now the Giants are number 7. Somehow the Giants number 7 grade out at a 90. Now they're just behind the Bills at 91.8. The reason why the Bills are so good is because of Josh Allen. Well, one of the reasons why the Giants are so good is because of Daniel Jones. It helps having the running quarterback. Okay. But, the Giants, number 7, as far as a running grade, according to Pro Football Focus. The run blocking grade, the Falcons are number 1, 83.7. The Giants' run blocking grade is number 14. They graded out at 60.9. Defense, 49ers are number 1, 85.9. All right. Giants, defensive grade. They're number 30, 54.5. You got to remember a lot of it. We had Xavier McKinney was hurt. Adoree Jackson was missed a ton of games. We don't have a true number 2 cornerback, and we had one, Aaron Robinson, but the guy can never stay healthy. Darius Williams, he's hurt. So we got a bunch of guys who are injured. So it'll be interesting to see what the Giants try to do. Hopefully they really could use to try to upgrade that position. But you got to remember, like Darius Williams and Aaron Robinson, they're not Shane and Dable guys. So by them guys getting hurt, keep getting hurt and all, they're not doing themselves any favors at all, because there's no, loyalty, but there's no bond there between Shane and Dable and Rodarius Williams and Aaron Robinson. So look for the Giants to maybe do a little upgrading in the draft, getting a cornerback. Run defense. The Rams are number 1, 87. Rams have been number 1, I think, all year long as far as run defense. Run defense. The Giants are number 28. 41.7 is their run defense. Oh, my God, is that horrible. Absolutely horrible run defense. All right, tackling grade. Now, the Giants have usually been pretty good at this. 49ers are number 1, 89.7. The Giants are number 8, 71.7. That's another one of the reasons why the Giants have been somewhat successful. Because they give up maybe some pass completions, but they rally to the ball, make a tackle. Haven't been a lot of really long plays given up by the Giants. The Giants give up some chunk yards here and there, but there's not like, a lot of plays where there's a boatload of missed tackles. They hand the ball off and a guy gets hit at the 2 yards and he runs the ball for like 2 yards and he breaks a tackle and breaks another tackle, and by the time 2 more guys bring him down, he's 10 yards down the field. The Giants have done a decent job all year as far as tackling, which is, when their defense, especially on the run defense, is porous as it is, you got to have guys in there tackling. They have done a good job all year at tackling. Pass rush, the Eagles number 1, obviously, 88.9, and the Cowboys number 2 at 84.6. The Giants are number 20, 68.8. Now, that number would be higher if Azeez Ojulari would ever could stay healthy, but coverage grade, 49ers are number 1, 90.9. Okay. And then you got, what do you got? The Giants, number 30, 53.3. Special teams grade. The Lions were number 1. Okay, they are number 1. Lions are number 1, 90.7. The Commanders are number 2. They've been number 1 and 2 like the whole year long. Commanders are 90.4. So special teams, they've done very, very well. The Giants have, let's see here. What do we got? Number 25, 71.7. Now the Giants, they've had some problems, obviously with the with their special teams. They had a couple. Obviously the one block punt was huge because basically almost kind of gave up almost directly, not quite, but almost to the Vikings. Obviously the Giants didn't block any punts, right? We gave up some long returns, kind of tailed off a little bit toward the end of the season, which was good. But in the beginning of the season, we gave up a lot of bad returns, right? The Giants didn't get many long returns. One of the problems also is that with McGahee, their special teams coach, working with different guys getting hurt. You just can't bring somebody in off the sideline, right? because we got guys coming off the practice squad, got off other teams' practice squads. One thing Joe Judge did, was, which was kind of helpful, was, he brought some guys in maybe specially just for special teams, obviously, because Joe Judge was the special teams coordinator with the Patriots, right? But he brought some guys in maybe just for special teams, all right? So the special team, did a decent job, nothing super phenomenal on the Judge, but a decent job. This year, especially with a lot of injuries we had, McGahee's arms were kind of like, his hands were kind of tied. You just can't just say to a guy, all right, they kick the ball, you just run down, you make the tackle. It's a little more complicated than that. You have your lanes, you got to stay in, and you get blocked a couple yards this way or a couple yards that way or something or whatever. And now you're giving up a big hole, and before you know it, they got a big return. If you got guys in there that they don't know what exactly, I can't say not what they're doing, but they're not, at proficient as other guys are. You got to be thinking on your head, especially when it comes like time for punt protection, right? If you pick up the wrong guy or you don't pick up a guy, he runs in scot-free, he blocks the punt, right? So, the Giants certainly have to work on that. It's going to be interesting to see. I would interesting to see, because we'll find out in the upcoming weeks, because the teams want to fill their coaching vacancies as soon as possible. So with Kafka and Martindale, right? We'll see if any of the Giants wind up leaving. I'd have a hard time believing, especially after this debacle against the Eagles. Kafka's made a name for himself, but he's only been there doing it for 1 year. I'd have a hard time believing he'll be gone after 1 year. I'd have a hard time believing that. Martindale, he's done a nice job, especially what he's been given with the Giants. I mean, he's done a good job. The thing is with him is he's been around for a long time and nobody's given him a job. So it'd be interesting to see. So interesting to see what the Giants, if any of them get hired, what the Giants do with the coaches. But also in the upcoming weeks, we got to start seeing, hopefully, maybe start signing some of these guys, start signing some of our own guys, because I'm like, they're going to get something done with Daniel Jones as soon as possible. I don't know if they're going to want to wait for free agency to roll around, because, if they wait too long for Daniel Jones, somebody else might come in and wind up signing them away. So it'll be interesting to see. So it's going to be very, very interesting coming up. As I said, Shane and Dable, they had a conference today talking about trying to sign some of their own guys. We're going to have some money, he was saying, but, we have some guys that we want to try to sign. And that's something the Giants have not done of late a lot. Draft guys, after their time is up, their 4 years / 5 years, whatever is up, usually they just boom, 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 walk away. Yeah, let's let them walk away. We'll draft other guys. We don't have to re-sign anybody. So, but it's been very, very interesting. All right, well, it's been 31 minutes. Anybody spent any time? My first video was up. My mic was not working. I don't know why. So this is the second going at this. So anybody spends any time at all, I don't know if anybody watched me at all on this video. I do apologize if somebody was out there looking for the first video and it's not there. I stopped it because my mic wasn't working, so I had to restart it again. So now I have a new link and all of that. Or if anybody watches any of the replay of this, all right, once again, from the bottom of my heart, it means the absolute world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And as always, guys, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo! Oh, yeah, baby.